You're listening to Marketing Mavens on Good Morning Delhi with Sarthak.
And we're so grateful that you are, because it's important to listen, right? We're losing that habit a little. Nah, not sarcasm or cynicism. It's just something that I say. I apologize. I scream at myself. No problem. We've got the wonderful Vineet Mahajan with us, one of the top creative minds in the country as of now. He runs a company called VM Collective. You might want to go to Instagram and check out VM Collective, and there's also the website if you want to know more. But the fact is that you are at the cutting edge of global advertising, and you've been there for so long that it probably would not seem like a cutting edge anymore, and quite regular. No, how's the journey been?
Hi, Sarthak. Its journey's been great. It's lovely and a pleasure to kind of be on the show. Yeah, I've started back in the days in 1998 with Dogilvi, and then I kind of worked with Mechanic Length, and then I kind of last ended my corporate career with Contract.
Okay.
And last 4 years, I started a company called VM Collective,
Right.
where we kind of work with global, brands like YouTube. We just finished a campaign with YouTube. We
Wonderful.
also work with Airbnb, which we launched, Shah Rukh Khan bungalow
Sure.
to a city palace, Jaipur, and many more. So we just work across Indian brands. We also work across Africa and other places.
Excellent. VM Collective, by the way, in case you want to check it out. But we're talking about the Airbnb Shah Rukh Khan campaign to begin with, right? Tell us the story, man.
It's quite funny, actually, the way it started. We only had Gauri Khan to kind of begin with, and I was trying to tell the client it's great to have Gauri, but it's important to kind of have Gauri and Shah Rukh both, and the whole idea was to kind of push and make the campaign to kind of come alive with if we can get Shah Rukh also on board. So yeah, we started with the idea of we asked the client that if we can use one of the pictures of Shah Rukh also as a part of the film,
Right.
and to which they agreed, and we chose the very best pose, which now been in the Guinness Book of Record. I don't know if you've seen that, which is the hands wide across,
Yeah,
and
the Shah Rukh Khan
the
pose.
Shah Rukh Khan pose,
Yeah.
yeah. And we call the campaign very simply "A Home with Open Arms" and "Welcome to a Home with Open Arms," which also resulted in Shah Rukh tweeting and talking about it to the press, and it came about all free because the client was not really had that, and it resulted in great numbers. We had about 1.4 billion reach and about 18 million impressions.
And so effective. I mean, you didn't necessarily need to shoot with him. You just needed photographs.
We just used his photograph, and it was more like a media-driven campaign. It was not it was like a little different than what we have done till now. I mean, I've known for doing mainline creative. This was purely a media-driven campaign. The film was very, very simple, not like a high-budget film, but results were astonishing, and we were not aware of it that it turned out to be like this.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think this whole hunger for experiences that right now there is. I mean, do you think that that added to the success of the campaign?
It is because also there is a hunger which is there, and also what you want to say, because at the end of the day, no matter what medium which is taking a precedent, whether it's AI or tomorrow it'll be driven through radio. There was a time when TV was great hit, and now there is media agnostic campaigns that we do.
Absolutely.
So I think I am a great believer at the beginning of it. If you have a great story to tell, idea kya hai, wo bahut zaruri hai. And in our case, I don't know if I can use the word called shukranu kya hai, matlab that's very important that we normally call it.
Yes, of course.
और
Absolutely.
वो बहुत जरूरी है, और वो कहाँ पे जाके आपका क्या पेनिट्रेट करेगा और कितना बड़ा वो आइडिया सक्सेस होगा. It all depends on the germ of idea, where you get it from and how big your story can be. So I think in the case of Shah Rukh Khan, it was just a great idea, which we call it Home with Open Arms, and it just did wonders, and ended up Shah Rukh talking to press and tweeting about it was a great thing. Yeah.
The campaign that we were talking about was Bata, which we thought that we should talk about, from being what was perceived as a bit of a fuddy-duddy brand, from the olden times, becoming a bit of a cool brand, right? And advertising that you had created, in a sense, is playing a part in it as well, Vineet, right?
Yeah, any big campaign actually is not created by one individual. There are many minds to it. Yes, I was in the leadership role to kind of take the entire team together with me, and that was the role that I played really well, and still playing, in fact. Though I've started my own company, but I still consult with WPP to kind of help them out on Bata.
Sure.
So I started back in the days, when the pitch happened, and then after that we got the first client and account, and the whole idea after looking at the shoes, was the shoe looked super cool, whereas the perception was very fuddy-duddy.
Sure.
So I think Ashish Chakravarti, which we all know, the CCO at McCann, and me and a couple of people in the contract side, we all kind of came up with the idea that we should kind of go ahead and just talk about and make the shoe the hero of it.
Sure.
And rest was history. I think what we did with Kriti Sanan was actually a very, very, very conversation-led creative, which was talking about like, how she actually went out, was invited by Bata, and she went out to look for the shoes, and instead of buying the shoes just for herself, and she ended up buying, she instead of buying shoes for her mother, she ended up buying 20 pairs for herself. and right after that, there was a whole series which kind of had took precedent to that, which was if you saw the Sushant Singh Rajput, which unfortunately no more there.
Yeah.
But we did a great work with him, So.
But I have a question, Vineet, which is that the usage of celebrity in advertising, is it a double-edged sword? Because I've always wondered whether the usage of a celebrity using a certain brand, when we've actually seen them, in fashion blogs and airport looks, etc., flaunting international brands, so to speak. Is it a double-edged sword? How does it work?
So I think it works very well, but how you use it is very important. Like, I'm talking about the Bata as a case. I think it was not like just a use of celebrity, but it was also a brand coming alive with the celebrity. Because it's not like, hey, at the end of the day, people will say, "Arey, wo Kriti Saran yaad hai, par Bata yaad nahi hai." Yeah, Sushant Singh Rajput yaad hai, but Bata yaad nahi hai. Back in the days, another campaign that we could talk about after this could be an Nescafe, which was Know Your Neighbors, which I did mention to you, where we used Deepika Padukone back in the days along with Purab Kohli, which I think the campaign get remembered far more than just the celebrity. And celebrity definitely aids to the campaign, but it's what's your story. Like, kahani kya hai, wo matter karta hai.
So we circle right back to what's
Absolutely
the idea.
What's the big idea, where you start from. And in the case of Bata, I mean, we all have seen it. It was not just like, what we showed on TV and other places, but it was also in the print, which was like, a new look which was being taken forward. So we did show the celebrity, but we did show a range of shoes which was part of the celebrity. And the whole campaign is also there on my personal Instagram. I mean, the whole case study is there. Anybody can go and see.
And someone who's been part of very many great ads is Vineet Mahajan. He started his career with Ogilvy, went on to become head of Contract India. Now, of course, runs cutting-edge media agnostic advertising / marketing / visual and multimedia agency. Can we call it all of that, Vineet?
We call it hybrid. We depend what project you have, and we kind of built a team for that. It's called the VM Collective, and we have great works that we've done across 10 countries and 6 continents.
So you want to know more? VM Collective is the name that you want to remember. You remember the Know Your Neighbors ad featuring Deepika Padukone and Purab Kohli, the one that was a bit of a clutter breaker for Nescafe, because before that, the primacy of the idea was the Paparappa, which was the mnemonic, which was so huge for Nescafe. But here it was, the likes of Deepika Padukone and Purab Kohli, who were then, incorporated into a whole new messaging. So what was the process? Because you were an integral part of that process, weren't you, Vineet?
So yes, I think back in the days there was only 2 mediums which were largely at large. There was print, there was television, and
there was radio.
And there was radio. 3 medium, I would say. And this was the medium which we now call it as a media agnostic campaign, which started a trigger which was started from print as in newspaper, but not like a print ad, but it was more like a journalist driven print, which was started from Delhi Times, Bombay Times, and across. And then it started with Deepika Padukone moving out of the house, and and it happened to be in the articles that she's moving out next to Purab Kohli's house. And while that was going in the print, the TV came about, teaser how Purab is kind of suddenly shocked that Deepika Padukone is her new neighbor. And the whole idea came about, not just, I would say, to the great relationship between what the client also has and what we had to do.
Sure.
So I think client plays a big role in any ad kind of come alive, be it like Bata, what we spoke about, and also in this case Chandru, he played very, very big role.
Of course.
Kind of part of it. Yeah.
Sure. And what was the storyboarding process like? Was there a lot of pulled hair and all of that?
My God, both at internal and also from the client side, I think we were pushed every day. I mean, Prasoon was involved, of course, and so is Ashish Chakravarti, from McCann Delhi office. And on the other side, which we had a client which was always a great client, I would say, but always not such a easy client to kind of work with, which is Chandru. We always wanted the best to kind of come about. So yeah, we came about many different ways of approaching it, and then finally we kind of decided. And sometimes at the time of the film, just the day before what we were shooting, there were ideas which were kind of thrown at each other. How we guys going to do this? How we guys going to do with Deepika? And how the Purab, it came about. We started with that, then it moved on to Karan Johar. What we guys going to do. And then right at the set, we kind of realized that there was where to put the bag. And suddenly they came about a nose of a mask on which Purab puts the bag. So that was a big debate. So certain things were while doing the campaign was quite interesting. And then we came out with a baddie, which is like, baddie, like,
Yeah.
which kind of came about the campaign. I don't know if you remember.
I remember that.
So-
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I think it was a really interesting journey because it didn't lasted like 1 or 2 days. The whole campaign lasted 3 seasons, like
Wow. Yeah.
and there
and
was a launch of
that's a big thing for a campaign, isn't it?
any
Yeah.
day. I mean, it didn't lasted like 2 days, 3 days, and there were like multiple people got introduced. How we get exit of Karan Johar and how we get Veer Das inside. I don't know if you remember, like that was the big debate. We had multiple ways of doing it, and
Sure.
finally we ended up like which is simplified, and Karan is leaving in the left, and Veer Das kind of get introduced into that, like So yeah.
Basically, India's first hybrid one. You don't necessarily have employees, but you've got a lot of like-minded individuals who do a lot of like-minded things together. Yes.
Yes, we have about 200 plus people that we worked in last 4 years, and we delivered campaigns across 10 countries and 6 continents,
Wow.
like right from New Zealand to kind of San Francisco.
And one of those campaigns happens to be for Khadi, where Khadi is being made cool as well. It seems you've gotten this whole thing about making things cool into the DNA of your work, is it?
Yes, that's the whole idea. And Khadi was very special because that was the first time actually I pitched for a tender. मैंने जिंदगी में कभी टेंडर नहीं किया. पर जब तुम इंडिपेंडेंट हो जाते हो तो तुम्हें सब कुछ करना पड़ता है. Right from like doing like I would say झाड़ू पोछा to anything. In our case, it's not much because we don't have an office. Like we have a hybrid company, as I said. Like so we have offices across, and we have a registered office in Delhi and Bombay.
Sure.
But yeah, Khadi was interesting because I mean, first we filled up the tender and we got the tender on board and we came on board, and then it was interesting to kind of work on it because where it started and where it ended were like quite a journey. Initially, we wanted the film to be very simple, very like the way the Khadi works, like you want those people making Khadi, building Khadi, this and that. So I came up with an idea which was like that it has a timeless fabric and we should talk about perception and reality of the Khadi, like because when I saw the clothes, like the reality of it was very different, and meeting Dr. Sudha Dhingra was really great, and her team was fabulous. Who's also a dean of NIFT now.
Sure.
So it was great to work and come down with the idea that हमें इसको timeless दिखाना है, and we have to break the boundaries of what people perceive of Khadi and what Khadi is actually. We kind of not just came up with a narrative, like but later a direction when I actually kind of started and I directed it. I happen to direct it as well, which I do as sometime part-time as one of my work. So I started directing it. I realized कि बच्चा everybody in India would know what Khadi is all about. Like it's not like I need to kind of tell Khadi बनता कैसे and how you kind of have to show it.
Absolutely.
So I said all you need to do is like just put those people right in the center of it and heart of it and just shoot them beautifully, and we kind of top it up with Vande Mataram as a track, and that got recorded by a gentleman in New York and called Jake Charkey, which kind of did the beautiful track for us, and
for sure.
and I don't want to talk about like how much budget we did, but we put in all our heart and soul into it to kind of make it come alive. And yeah, it got appreciated by the ministers, and also like the chairman of Khadi kind of called me to in office, and we kind of like talked about many other campaigns that hopefully should roll soon.
Yeah, and Khadi being cool, yeah, that sounds like something that can always be in fashion, because there's a story behind Khadi, and that story will also be timeless. Some timeless stories, some relevant ones, some of the current generation. That's what we talked about on Marketing Mavens with the wonderful Vineet Mahajan. Vineet, it's been absolutely wonderful having chewed your brains a little on this one. Thank you so much for your time.
It was a pleasure to kind of be here on the show, Sarthak, as well. I mean, I've never been to a radio show like this, but yeah, my God, this was entertaining, and it was quick. Yeah, it was like quite quick and lovely. Yeah,
I tell you, we are in the moment.
I never thought it'll be live like this. Like that nothing will be edited.
It is, certainly is. And what it is, of course, is time to take a break. After which we'll come back and play more music for you right here on 94.3 Radio 1. So stay with us.